Hi, and welcome to Jazz Everett's session on ranking.
First of all, I think it's important that we talk about why our ranking is so important. In the last couple of years, we've seen a constant move from print media to online media and online advertising. That's a great thing, and to a great extent, online is still it gives you more value for your money than print media does. It hasn't replaced print media at all, but it's going that way. Now, a lot of us come from a 10-year space where you load your property onto the internet or onto the system, you put 10, 15 photographs down, and there you go, and you expect you're going to get hits on it via the internet. Unfortunately, the internet media it's a lot more competitive than it was 5 years ago. And there are a lot of measuring in place, and your clients searching the internet expect a lot more from what we give them than we used to give. We have to keep those trends in mind when we list a property, when we take photographs at a property, and when we showcase a property on the internet. Now, first of all, what is ranking? Ranking determines where you land on the page. And I'll show you at the end of the session what the impact is of a low ranking score. But ranking determines whether if two agencies have exactly the same property listed at the same price, your ranking will determine whether your property lies above the property of the other agency. And how does the portals determine the ranking? They work on the basis of a ranking score. They work on a listing score. So let's show you quickly how the listing score works. Private property has their listing score. They, for example, say there has to be a minimum of 3 images and the dimensions has to be 600 by 450. It must have a relevant asking price. Expiry dates have to be in the future. It has to show or has to have a full address hidden or shown. A property description of no less than 140 characters. The land has to have land size, the earth size, and the house must have number for bathrooms, bedrooms, etc. These items make up 25% of the listing score on the private property portal. The rest of the 75% is made up of a virtual tour and a floor plan, 12 unique high-resolution photographs, the full address shown on the internet, the map location shown on the internet, and then additional price details and detailed property information, for example, floor and land area. Now, the ideal listing, the listing that would stay on top regardless of how many people load listings on that specific day, the ideal listing would have a perfect score, a score of 100%. Now you have an idea, a broad idea of how the private property scoring card works. Let's have a look at the scorecard for P24. P24 says you have to supply and allow the address to be shown on property 24. Show the property on the map. So this is important on both these portals. Give your listing a strong title. This is a new one. Provide a detailed description of approximately 2 paragraphs in length. This is a new one. Add between 8 and 16 clear, unique photographs, unwatermarked. We'll get to that. Include the earth size. Provide rates and taxes or rates and levy information, and include a floor size. These three, we've seen them. They popped up on the private property scorecard as well. And this one is no new news. Upload a video and or a virtual tour. So this gives us an overview of what both the portals are looking for. But a strong title, a detailed description, sounds sort of Greek, doesn't it? And when we're talking about good quality photos, what exactly do we mean? Good quality photographs. So in essence, what does it mean? The sweet spot is 12 photographs. Please listen to me carefully. 12, not 7, not 19. 12 is the sweet spot for the best ranking. And I know that some of you say, how on earth am I going to load 12 photographs for vacant land? We'll get to that. That is a separate discussion. At this stage, let's talk about houses and let's talk about flats. When we talk about 12 photographs, I'll show you in a minute how we can work around the concept that a 2-bedroom flat only has so many photographs you can take. Secondly, the size of your photograph has to be 1024 times 768 or higher. We are now starting to look at a photo size of 1200 by 800. Now, if you're not sure how to get there or how to find out what the size of your photograph is, I'll show you. But you can see on the first section, private property had on their scorecard dimensions of 600 by 450. Now, I am talking about something that is double that. I'm talking about 1200 by 800. Please keep this in mind when you list the property, when you go out there to take the photographs, because this is a setting on your camera that has to be set before you take the photographs. And please do not bulk up and email these photographs to yourself to make them smaller. That is exactly where you lose the size and you lose the resolution, which results in a poor quality and a smaller photograph on the internet. Then, thirdly, please guys, a good quality camera, not a phone. I know these new smartphones take beautiful photographs. I have one. My photograph size is more than 3 meg on a photograph, and the photographs are stunning. But when I start working through the photos with you, you'll see that the one thing you don't have when you take photographs with a smartphone, you do not have light settings. And you can clearly see on the internet which houses were photographed with a phone and which a good quality camera was used. And then lastly, pay attention to light, shadows, clutter, etc. What do I mean by this? This photograph, beautiful kitchen, bad photo. We've got the all-brand box, we've got a cloth lying around, the bin is half open, we've got keys lying around. This is what you would like to try and prevent when you post photos on the internet. Please remember the whole idea of putting 12 good quality photographs on the internet is to attract the attention of your buyer and to move your buyer to action. And what is the action you want? You want to receive that SMS that says, I'm interested in this property. You want to receive the phone call. Now, keep this in mind whenever you take a photograph. This specific photo, will it solicit a call? Personally, I don't think so. But let's move on. This photograph, an absolute beautiful setting, and yes, it is a wine farm, but this is a beautiful setting. It's a bad photograph. First of all, you can see the lines at the top. The camera was at a skew angle. I've got people in the photograph. That's not the intention. I've got people one is wiping glasses and the other one's sweeping the floor. This is not the idea on a residential portal or on a residential website. We don't want people on the photographs. And if I just spent an extra 5 minutes while taking these photos, I would have corrected the lines and I would have waited for the humans in the photograph to get out of the way, would have closed the door or opened both doors to catch some of the scenery that is visible through the windows. I would even have opened those blinds and opened these doors so that you can look right through the property. Now, it doesn't cost me a cent extra to come into a position where I can give attention to the details and spend time with the details, because that's what solicits a phone call. Beautiful setup. But if I walked around the building and I stood there and maybe taken the chairs out of the way, I would have had a different light on the photograph and this wouldn't have been overexposed. You cannot see the edge of the building. Now, how does that impact on ranking? The ranking, the photographs are scored with photo recognition software. And the photo recognition software looks at lines, and I'm saying looks in inverted commas, it looks at lines on the photographs. So I'll emphasize the concept of overexposing a photograph or underlighting a photograph. With these lines not being there, this photo would score low. This photograph, for example, gives you an idea of the block of flats. The lines are clear, it's not too shadowy, but we've got the palisade in the front, in the front of the picture. So I would see this as a bad photograph, even though the quality is good. This right here, the fact that the palisade is in full view, it's the first thing that catches your eye. That deters from the beauty of the photograph. Now this, to my mind, is a good photograph. The lines are clear, the lighting is good, you can see the edges of the building, and this photograph would score well on the scoring that determines your ranking. And this is a block of flats. Now, getting back to that 2-bedroom flat of mine, how do I get to 12 photographs or as close to 12 as possible? This I would add. This photograph I would add. My lines are clear and it gives me a feeling of the courtyard of the block of flats. I would, for example, stand on that bench and zoom in on this balcony. Or I'll find a balcony with pot plants on it and I'll zoom in on the balcony because it is a beautiful design. It's a beautiful balcony. And something like that would create an arty photograph to add to your bunch of photographs and to up the count to 12. Beautiful house. A pity about the fact that the focus of the photograph is a bush and a ladder. And these are things, guys, that I see so often on the internet. If we can just spend 5 minutes, just steady your hand with your camera with the one hand and push the plant aside with the other hand, you'll have a photograph that gives a whole new feeling. This I got from the internet this morning. This is a beautiful property. It's in the market for 4 million and it's a pathetic photograph. The lighting is bad. You can clearly see that this photograph was taken with a cell phone. And that is the difference between taking a photograph with a cell phone and taking a photograph with a decent camera. This is what you want to see in quality. This is not what you want to see in quality. And even though this property was most probably only listed today or yesterday, it will drop down the rankings like a stone because of the quality of the photo. This, for example, I'm not sure what they try to achieve, but this is not a good idea. I would rather stand back, change the settings on my camera, and try and capture the whole room. This is, it's overexposed, the lighting is bad, it's blurry. You can see on the lines that this photograph is blurry. And this, need I say more? Seriously? The front page of P24, we have a photograph of a toilet. And not only that, it's a photograph that was taken in 2008. This is an example of a photograph that is, one, blurry, and two, it's too dark. It will have no impact. And the chances of your clients glancing over these photographs and say, I really have to see this, those chances are slim. The feeling this creates is that this is a dark room. I would have lit this up with lighting. I would have switched every single light on. I would have used a flash, and I probably would have stood there with the light of the windows behind me and not facing into the light, creating that kind of overexposure. That's it, talking about photographs. I will show you where to find the size of the photograph, and I urge you to play around on the portals, look at the competition's listings, and look at your own, and look at every single photograph that you have loaded in the sense of, is it blurry or is it clear? What is the lighting? Is it overexposed? Is it well lit? Or is it too dark? Is it cluttery? What is this? Does it solicit an action from the person viewing the photograph? Does it create the feeling of, I need to see this house? Because at the end of the day, that's the result we want from our photographs on the web. Next, we need a strong heading. Now, what on earth do I mean by a strong heading? Exclusive living at its best, situated in a secure gated estate. That is a strong heading. For good measure, I would probably have added an exclamation mark. From the private property side, the heading doesn't add into the scoring. However, on P24, the heading is very important. And the guideline I can give you is that the heading should fill up, if you're looking at the listing, at least between half and 3/4 of the width of the listing. So how many characters would that be? The sweet spot is somewhere between 50, maybe 55 and 65 characters. That is the sweet spot for your heading. And please make sure that everything in your heading is spelled correctly. Make sure that your heading actually makes sense. And keep in mind that just at the top of this photograph, there's a caption that says 3-bedroom house for sale in Cape Town. So do not repeat 3-bedroom house for sale in your heading. So it must be strong, it must be well written, and at least between halfway and 3/4 of the width of the ad. Sweet spot, 55 to 65 characters. It has to have a strong description. What is a strong description? It must be detailed. In this case, and this is the sample given by P24, this magnificent family home situated in the leafy suburbs of Constantia offers spacious bedrooms, an undercover braai patio leading to a sparkling pool, garden, etc. The guideline for detailed description, the sweet spot, like I would want to call it, 2 paragraphs maximum, between 3 and 4 lines. 2 paragraphs maximum, 3 to 4 lines each. That is the detailed description I am looking for. No bullet points. Do not use a dash to separate two sentences. No bullet points, and obviously 2 paragraphs maximum. So do not write your description in 3 or 4 separate sentences. The computer reads it as 4 separate paragraphs. Then the next item that is, I know, a tough one for most of you, and I know this is something that a lot of people don't want to do. That is to show your property on the map and show the address. If you do have a sole mandate, you can show the property on the map and you can show the address. Another scenario where I would strongly recommend that you show the map and that you show the address, in a situation where you have 4 or 5 boards on an earth, vacant land, or at a house already, you do no damage to yourself by showing the address. It will just help you with your ranking. What else? The earth size. The earth size is very important. You should have that when you list a property in any case, so please put it on the listing. The building size. We have to have the building size when we sell the property, so please put it on the listing. Building plans. If you have a copy of building plans, please load it as a JPEG photograph on your listing. Rates and taxes. You should have that if you're marketing the property, so please load it on the system. Please load the levies where applicable. And then we get to those 2 points. And those 2 points, if we go back through the presentation, and this is one of the points where I get a lot of questions. 30% of the ranking score is made up of a virtual tour or a video. And yes, virtual tours and videos cost money, but there are various ways to do it. So if you want extra information on doing the virtual tour or going the virtual tour route, please, you're more than welcome to email me. We have a variety of ways that we can do it. You would see on the Chaz Everitt YouTube, there's properties that are changed into videos. Property Tube, it takes your listing directly from the Chaz Everitt listing site and it puts it onto a video clip. You can then add these video clips onto the portals directly, and that would help you with your scoring. Lastly, as far as ranking is concerned, don't show your for sale board in the ad. Both the portals will bounce your property off. They will literally take your property off the feed for 2 weeks. And if you do it a second time, you'll get penalized. You can even get fined. So please do not show your for sale board in any picture on the ad. When you do your photographs for the internet, take down your board and put it back up when you've finished. Do not delete and reload properties. That's called gaming, and if they catch you, they will take your properties down for a time. And they are actually quite harsh on that. If they catch you gaming on some of your properties, they'll take the property down for 2 weeks. Do not show a branded car on your photographs. Please, guys, park down the street if you have to, but don't show your branded car inside. Once again, they penalize you for it. Now, a special note from my side, don't show any humans, animals, or dirty laundry in your photographs. Please get the owner of the house, if there's a mess in a room or the bed's not made, that kind of thing, kindly ask the seller to please just make the bed. And I know it's difficult when you've got tenants in the house, but the same applies. Please just ask them to tidy up the room and put away their personal paraphernalia so that you can take the photographs. No photograph may be published on the portals that shows watermarks. Okay, and the same counts for downloading photographs from other agents' websites to use on our site. Please don't do that. Take your own photographs. What you can do, and what I strongly encourage you to do, refresh your ad often. Change the description, make it something new, something fresh, and change your photographs from time to time. Secondly, make sure you create the correct feeling with your photos. When I started off in real estate, I had a mentor who said, when you stand outside a house, find something you like. When you're inside the house, find something you like. Every single property has something special. You can even ask your seller, what do you find special about this property? Look for features in the property. Is there a fountain? Is there a beautiful corner in the garden? Is there a spectacular view? Is there something next to the front door that shouts out, come in? Look at this property through the eyes of somebody who wants to buy it. This property is somebody's castle. Please, guys, portray that in the images that you advertise on the internet. Evening photos, where it is at all possible. I saw a while back a property that was advertised for 850,000 Rand, and it was really in daylight. It wasn't a lot to look at. But the agent went and took evening photographs from outside with the lights on inside the house, and it looked so warm and inviting. It made the world's difference in portraying this property. And I want to encourage you, every single listing you have, drive by early evening and see what does it look like when the lights are on. Is there something more I can do with the 12 photographs I have to solicit that phone call? Is there more that I can do to make this property look special? And lastly, guys, mind your language, and please use your language carefully. We have a way of talking in the office. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is the way our buyers talk or our sellers talk. Keep away from slang. Keep away from expressions that is used specifically in a specific area. Think wider. If you use a certain type of slang for a neighborhood in Cape Town, your buyers don't necessarily come from there and they don't necessarily understand it, but it could put you in a bad light. So please mind your language. Be descriptive, be inviting. I even have in the 2016 resources folder under advertising, there's an Excel spreadsheet that gives you a lot of ideas for catchphrases to use and lines to use in your ads. That was in detail what we are discussing this morning. Now I just want to move to a couple of other screens and show you the question of photographs and the property on finding out the size of my photograph. If you have saved your photographs onto your desktop and you want to know what the size of the photograph is, you right-click on the photo and you'll scroll down and you'll see properties at the bottom. Now remember I said earlier that this photograph has to be 1024 by 768, or now moving into 1200 by 800, and that is where you find the dimensions. So this specific photograph is 4600 by 3000. Okay, one last thing that I want to show you is if we look at ranking, and you're not sure exactly what I mean by ranking, let me just show you quickly. If I open, let's open the first one that comes up. There we go, private property. Ranking determines where on the page or where on the search your property would be. So let's just have a look at Hermanus. If I search properties in Hermanus, how do you understand ranking? Now, this is a featured ad. It's got a line around it. So this was paid for. This property was paid for. That's why it is positioned high. And this is a separately sold ad. So the first property that ranks on this page would then be this 5-bedroom house in Voorklip. And if we scroll down, we see the properties. And there we go. There's our first Chas Everitt listing. It's the first listing that is not featured or paid for. So on private property, you can see featured ads from this point up. All of them are paid for. And from that point down, where's Henny's, from that point down, this is natural ranking. Okay, so in Hermanus, these 3 Chas Everitt properties rank very high. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them, 10 of them on the first 11. I'm going to stop counting because I'm embarrassing myself. So we've got 10 properties on page 1 in Hermanus on private property. That means that the Hermanus office of the Wild Coast office is definitely doing something right as far as their scoring is concerned. And I haven't opened this property before, so let's just have a look why. It's got a virtual tour. It's viewed on the map, and you can see the address, and it's got the bond repayments in there, the rates is in there, the land area is in there, the floor area is in there. The description is 2 paragraphs, and both of them 3 lines, and the heading is strong, it's in caps, and it fills up 3/4 of the page. So what Cheryl has done with this specific listing, she has created 100% score. And with 100% score comes high ranking. And that is what you can see. That is why the first page is filled up with Chas Everitt properties, because they're doing everything right for the scoring.